Garza works Sea Yard, one of 4 recreation areas at Calipatria State Prison in California.
I responded on this yard alone to numerous stabbings, staff assaults. I've been involved in a couple of altercations with inmates myself.
Knowing the risks, the keepers of Calipatria are geared to deal with even the most extreme assault scenarios. Much of this increased training and firepower has been implemented in the wake of the unbelievable events of August 18, 2005. On that day, a seemingly routine incident on Sea Yard touched off a full-scale prison riot. Inmates know talking about the riot could lead to an attack by a prison gang. But one is willing to take the risk because he's the one that set it off.
They said I was the one who started the whole, a riot, you know what I mean? They accused me of starting a whole riot.
Inmate Mark Gracia is a gangbanger with a reputation for fighting with correctional officers. But on the day of the riot, he claims exercise was the only thing on his agenda.
I went to yard and worked out, ran a little bit. I like to keep my endurance real good.
We'd been getting anonymous reports of problems with the Hispanic inmates population saying that they were going to assault staff.
That afternoon, Officer Harbert is working Sea Yard, patting down inmates as they file back to their cells. As Gracia walks by, Harbert spots a homemade weapon in his shorts.
Correctional officer pulled me over, and he was like, let me search you. So I complied. Like, all right, go ahead.
And when I did, I grabbed onto that object, which I knew was a weapon. It was a rod. It was about, I don't know, several inches long. It had a handle on it.
So when he searched me, he said, what's this? I said, it's a phone book and a pen. So he said, get down. So I said, man, what are you talking about?
I thought it was going to be relatively simple. He started to bring his arms down. When he got to about here, he reached with his right hand and grabbed onto my right wrist. When he did that, at the same time, he swung his left arm back in an attempt to hit me. I used his body weight and his momentum to spin him around to the left, and I placed him on the ground right here in the prone position on his stomach.
He slammed me to the floor. And then I don't know what happened after that.
Within seconds, several other inmates in the yard converge on Harbert, who has Gracia pinned to the ground.
They began kicking me in the head, stomping me. Some of them I could see stomping me in a downward motion. Some of them were kicking me like a soccer ball in the head and upper torso ribs. At the time, I didn't realize I was being stabbed.
As other officers rush to Harbert's aid, the remaining Sureños gang members of Unit C are compelled to join the fight, or else.
You can't just be right there and have a CO come and get you. If that Sureño goes at the CO, automatic, you gotta jump in. You have to jump in, because if you don't jump in, they're gonna get at you.
With that inmate rule in effect, the staff on Sea Yard is in need of major reinforcements.
They called a Code 3, which means everybody and their mother comes from the other yards to help out.
With all hell breaking loose on the yard, it's not long before Officers Melendrez and Ritter are under attack as well.
I looked over and I saw several staff members fighting with inmates. As I start to run across the yard, I see Officer Melendrez get physically thrown to the ground.
The same one that slammed me on the ground started hitting me inside of my head. I don't know how many times he hit me, just kept hitting my head, just kept going back and back. And I remember thinking, wow, I need to get back up. And I remember I was mad, I was angry. It was like, these were my workers, and it was just like, I was pissed off.
It was either anywhere between 3 to 5 inmates involved, all Southside Southern Hispanics. We were wrestling with them on the ground, trying to get them under control.
And then all of a sudden you can just hear, shots being fired, the rubber rounds shooting them at them, and then I guess everybody just got down and it was over with. It was it.
Thanks to the sharpshooters, it seems the staff has Sea Yard under control, but the violence spreads like wildfire.
I left that area, came down the yard, and got to the front of Building 5. When I got to Building 5, the alarm sounded. I was in first. My partner, Moore, was in behind me. What I thought was strange was normally during an alarm, there's a lot of yelling, a lot of commotion, disruption, but it was quiet, eerie quiet, just weird. Didn't make sense.
Ritter is joined by Sergeant Pickett, and they brace for the worst.
They were prepared, they were waiting for us. They just ambushed as soon as we got inside. We pretty much just fought together to try to get the inmates off. They were using mop handles and knives and sticks and hitting us in the head and stuff.
What went through my mind was, I'm not going to get home to my kids tonight. I'm going to end up in the hospital. I'm not going to come out of this well.
I remember seeing an inmate coming towards me and broke a push broom on the top of my head. Once you break it, it looks like a spear.
Realizing he's in a fight for his life, Officer Sandoval goes for his baton.
I have to do what I have to do. I have little ones at home. It's either them or me.
It was just like a war zone in there. Pepper spray was everywhere, blood was everywhere, broken sticks.
We just stayed on our feet because we knew if we went to the ground, we wouldn't make it out.
The inmates continue the onslaught until the air is shattered with a reminder of who is really in charge.
I distinctly remember hearing a loud crack. And after being around weapons as many years as I've been around, I recognize it as a rifle shot.
From the security control center high above the main floor of the unit, a single shot from a high-powered rifle effectively ends the riot.
The inmate that was shot was standing right over approximately between those two tables. And he's being fought. I kind of saw him go down, but I didn't realize he had been shot.
As soon as that rifle shot sounded, the fight was over.
The inmate who's been shot dies instantly.
What the gunner saw, you know, I can't answer what he saw, but he saved a lot of people's lives because it could have been very, very ugly.
With the riot finally over, officers could tend to their own. 27 would be rushed to the hospital.
I was covered in blood. Blood had ran down through my jumpsuit into the lower parts of my jumpsuit. I was dripping all over the place.
Officer Harbert, whose attempt to confiscate an inmate's weapon set off the revolt, had been beaten, kicked, and stabbed.
Well, this is one side of it. There.